Forgiveness. That's probably the hardest word that anyone has to say or feel. And I know there is one emotion that is probably the most prominent that happens when we think of forgiveness is anger. Forgiveness and anger and then sadness. That's what happens when we even mention the word forgiveness. So how do we forgive? Why do we forgive? And that is what we're going to be talking about today. That when we hold something within ourselves, it does us no good. And logically, we know that. But it's easier said than done. I know when I was hurting, I was so mad at so many people, at the situation, an experience. And I asked my therapist, I said, when is it going to stop hurting so much? And she paused and she said simply, when it does. Which was really hard to hear, but it was the truth. Forgiveness is not overnight. Can it happen? Absolutely. It did for me a couple of times. I think it's because I was prepared to forgive, and we will talk about that with the healing ceremony on Thursday. That really did help me nip a lot of people I needed to forgive and, on the spot. But time, love, and patience, especially with yourself. That is the number one person that I want you to think about this week of forgiveness, because everything is affecting you. And that is what is important. So why do we need to forgive? We know that logically, but I want to do a simple exercise with you. First, I want to make sure that you're in a safe place, some environment that you feel the most safe, if you have that and that's accessible. And the reason I want you to be in a safe place is because when we are doing forgiveness this week, it's important to feel safe while you're feeling your feelings this week. Things that pop up, you need to be in an environment where you feel safe. So I recommend for sure all week for Forgiveness Week is to be in a safe place. You can have your feelings, you can deal with your emotions that pop up, and it can be more of a healing experience than trying to work in between other things going on. Somebody's knocking on your door. Maybe somebody that's currently you need to forgive is close by. All of these reasons to put yourself in a safe place this week. But let's go back to why do we need to forgive? I want you for this moment to think of something that makes you absolutely angry. I want you to feel anger. Maybe it's directed at a person, experience, whatever it is. I want you to feel it with every fiber of your being. Maybe have a particular person in mind. And just feel it. Now take that feeling and I want you to put your hand on your heart. What is it doing when you are angry right now? What is it doing to your mind, your body? Do a body check. Feel it. Now I want you to take a couple deep breaths in, and with each breath, I want you to let go of that anger. And one more time. Let it all out. Now, in this moment, I want you to think of the happiest thing in your life, the thing that brings you the most joy, the thing that you think about and you automatically smile. I know we're going to extremes, but there's a reason. And take that moment and think of that. Maybe it's a place that always makes you feel super happy. Or maybe it's a person. Every time you see them, you just get a big smile on your face. Whatever it is, I want you to feel it with every fiber of your being. This joy, this happiness, that whatever you're thinking about brings you. Now I want you to put your hand on your heart. Now what do you feel? What do you feel within your mind and your body when you're in a state of joy? That is what forgiveness is. It's going from that first state, consciously or unconsciously, you're in that state. One moment of any time, trigger, and it's right there. When you forgive, you don't hold that in your heart anymore. Your heart is yours. It's not bought and sold with anybody else in mind except you. And that's what the focus of this week is, to hold your own heart. So you're not letting somebody crush it, toss it around, throw it up in the air, just getting rid of it. You take your precious heart and you hold it. And that is the first step to forgiveness, is holding yourself with love. Now, why do we not want to forgive? Now, I'm sure there's many reasons, but there's 3 top that I want to talk about today. One is usually when somebody says something, a statement or a truth, in some way you believe what they're saying. And you would rather be angry at them and not forgive them than to hear the truth that they're saying. Number 2 is somebody hurt you enough, either physically, mentally, or emotionally, and made you feel unsafe or unloved and powerless. The anger is the only thing that you have left that makes you feel powerful. If I'm angry at this person, then they can't hurt me anymore. So I'm not going to forgive them. I'm going to hold on to this because it makes me feel powerful. When they made me feel powerless, if that makes sense. And number 3, and this is probably the saddest one, but I'm sure some of you can relate, is that you love somebody so very much, but something happened for them to just not care about you anymore, love you the way that you're supposed to be loved, and all they're doing most of the time is hurting you. And if you forgive them, then that is the last thing that you hold on to them. Your anger at them is the only thing you have left, because you know in your heart, if you forgive them, then they are truly gone. And I know that seems backwards, but it's really not, especially if you really truly cared about this person. Maybe they were a parent and they cannot help who they are. All you can do is help who you are in any moment. If they're a person that are just toxic for you, then holding on to whatever anger is hurting you more than it's hurting them. And this is my motivation today. If you take this and say, you know what, this person is right, then guess what doesn't get poked into your heart? You're like, okay, they're right. Then what do you do with it? You say they're right, and then you do something about your life, so that way if anybody else makes that statement in the future, they're wrong. And you don't get mad at them, because some people might see you a certain way and you cannot control them. So forgiving them for being honest with you, coming to your own conclusion, especially doing the self game now, because we're going to work on love next week, to be able to say, no, you know what? You were right, but you're not right anymore. Or after doing the self game, I can tell you, you're not right. I know this is who I am. You just don't see it and I can't control that. Number 2, power is an illusion if it's attached to anger. Anger is an emotion that should come up in a moment to let you know something is wrong, but it cannot sustain you. Like in the first part of this video, if you have anger within you, it is not serving you. So there is no power there. To let go of somebody that has physically, mentally, or emotionally hurt you, you can't do this all the time. Just poking you. Peace. Peace is power. When this person or situation experience comes up and you feel peace, you will feel more powerful than any anger you've ever felt in your life. I can guarantee it. Peace is power. When you have peace within you and somebody is trying to disrupt that, just like the baseball, somebody's throwing their crap at you, you catch it and you give it back. Sorry, not taking that anymore. There you go. That's power. Peace is your power. And number 3 is the same thing. If you are holding on to somebody, it's your being realistic that that person cannot change. If you're asking that person to be a person they cannot, then who's the fool? Them or you? Letting go of anyone that doesn't treat this like the most precious thing in the world is not worth holding on to. The only people that you should ever give this to are the ones that treasure it. The ones that look at your heart like gold and would never want to hurt you. And if they did, they will hold themselves accountable. And many of you might be saying, well, that's impossible. You live up to your expectations. If you have no expectations for people, that's who you're surrounded by. If you have 3 people in the world that treat your heart like a treasure, you have more than most people. You could have 100 people and none of them really care about you. They just want something from you. Get the people that treat your heart like a treasure. So I hope this helped you with forgiveness. Why forgive? Because anger does not serve you. 2, letting go of toxic people, because in the end, anger, sadness is not power. Anger is not power. Peace is. And that's what we are working on with this self game, is peace. At the end of this game, that's what we're finding. That's our little award that we're going to, is that anybody lobs anything at us, thank you, but no thank you. Now, finishing out our gratitude for today. Gratitude acknowledges connection. When we contemplate our place in the intricate, independent network of life, we feel wonder and joy. Robert E. Emmons. One more time. Gratitude acknowledges connections. The ones that are holding your heart and loving you, which we will talk about next week. But this is a treasure. That is why we forgive, because we are now controlling who has our heart and who does not. Anything we hold within us, we are the ones that suffer. Maybe they're suffering, but you can't control anything going on in their world. You can only control what's going on in your world and your heart. When we contemplate our place in the intricate, independent network of life in the game, we feel wonder and joy. And that is truly it. When you find people that treasure your heart, you are filled with gratitude. You're like, wow, this is possible. And you make sure that you treat that person that treats your heart like a treasure. You keep them close to you and you make sure to take care of them. because they're going to do the same thing for you. I hope this was helpful. Take care, everybody. Bye. Blessings to all who see this.